Hello, I'm Comfort. I'm Modu. Welcome to the news at 7 on NTA International. Let's get started with the headlines. An appraisal of giant strides of 5 years administration of President Buhari in various sectors. President Buhari reconstitutes NNPC board. And fire wreak havoc at Olalaye Market, Shomolu, Lagos. The 5-year administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has re-established Nigerian's position and influence in the ECOWAS and global arena, with successes recorded in insecurity, economy and world politics, as well as steering affairs of many international organizations by Nigerians. Hamed Jobani takes a look at some of the diplomatic and international breakthroughs Nigerian experienced under President Buhari.
The need for Nigeria to be more involved in world affairs and improve its international relations in this era of globalization and the accompanying system of interdependence saw President Muhammadu Buhari believing that strengthening international relationships and delivering effective domestic policies will enable Nigeria to set up and play an increasingly vital role in maintaining peace and stability in Africa. Regaining its rightful place in the international community, which saw the country getting the position of Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, President of the UN General Assembly, President of the International Criminal Court, Secretary General of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, among other positions. Nigeria, under President Muhammadu Buhari in 2016, signed agreement on the identification and repatriation of illicit funds with the United Arab Emirates, engage other countries to ensure the repatriation of Nigeria's stolen assets.
For cooperation we have received in our effort to recover stolen funds. Our two governments have put the machinery in place for their respective attorney generals to collaborate in ensuring the return to Nigeria of over 500 million United States dollars of looted funds siphoned away in banks around the world.
Nigeria was one of those countries that signed on to the Global Forum on Asset Recovery Principle. And one of those principles is the inclusion of civil society in asset recovery negotiation process. That for me is something that is remarkable. And we also need to commend the President. And because of the engagement with civil society, it has really helped to convince the international community, particularly with the restitution of the Abuja 3.
The Buhari administration has mobilized international support for war against Boko Haram, forging strong partnership with the United States, the United Kingdom, France and Germany, ECOWAS, the AU, the UN, which made the country to finally agree to sell weapons to Nigeria, seeing the number of terrorist-related deaths in the country dropping by more than 80% since 2016 by Global Terrorist Index report of 2019, and freeing more than 16,000 hostages from captivity.
Nigeria is a valued partner and a good friend. I look forward to working closely with you to deepen our cooperation and forge an even closer partnership. The United States is committed to working alongside Nigeria as we seek a future of strength, prosperity, and peace. I especially want to thank President Buhari for Nigeria's partnership and leadership in the fight against terrorism. He's been a real leader.
They're so willing to really engage with us. And he kept on making the point that they're not looking for political gain. They're not looking to dominate any country economically, but it is just that's a sense of solidarity.
Nigeria joined the Open Government Partnership, participated in the London Anti-Corruption Summit and Commonwealth Conference on Tackling Corruption, but in 2016. The designation of President Muhammadu Buhari as the African Union Anti-Corruption Champion and West Africa's COVID-19 Champion shows great respect Nigeria is getting from the countries around the world.
I think that is a demonstration of the integrity that has been brought into office by the President and his administration, and the stature, the new stature, the recognition of the importance of Nigeria, not only in Africa, but globally, in terms of what the capacity that we have to do good in terms of global governance.
The leader today that we have in Nigeria is one the world has been waiting for. And because he has stepped forward to lead our country, Nigeria is seen in a new and a different, very positive light by the global community.
Experts say Nigeria's diplomatic and international relations has improved greatly in the last 5 years of Buhari's administration, and the last 3 years will cement that for the future. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
And the federal government's effort to diversify the economy through human capital development and growing micro, small and medium enterprises gave rise to the inauguration of the Presidential Committee on Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Chimobi Walter Naji sought the impacts of the committee in repositioning the sector for the real growth.
Micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria constitute of 90% of Nigeria's internally generated revenue, with about 65% operating as micro businesses. Shuaibu Umeza is a printer and a media consultant who has been in the business for over a decade. He tells me that his major challenge is access to financial incentives to fund the business.
The idea is good. Is a good setup, but I've not actually, because I've tried to assess, but I've not actually been able to assess them.
He is just one out of many other young entrepreneurs struggling with such challenges. This is why the Office of the Vice President set up a committee to oversee the affairs of this category of persons. This press briefing by the committee, therefore, is to highlight modalities for this year's MSME Awards, as well as the impact of the program and how it tends to address these challenges. One of such efforts includes the establishment of MSME clinics and share centers in selected cities in the country to assist small businesses access equipment necessary for their production.
On the 9th of June, they will be commissioning one of the MSME projects, the share facility for MSMEs, which will be launched in Benue State, a 200,000 yam storage capacity in Benue State. I think that's going to be on June 9th. This year's award has been tagged the virtual edition.
For Shuaibu and many others like him, this year's award ceremony for MSMEs will afford them an opportunity to be captured by the clinic. In Abuja, I'm Chimobi Walter Naji, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has successfully moved Nigeria from a food importing nation to a country that is not only food secured but also a par with world's largest producers of agricultural produce. In this report, agricultural correspondent Musa Babaliu takes a look at what led to this development.
Trucks of fertilizer diverted or stolen, termites eating up tractors, wind sweeping away heavy-duty farming equipment. These were some of the tales that greeted the ears of farmers and people whenever government officials want to cover up their shoddy deals. The gullible people had no option. They resigned to faith. These agriculturalists say contributed largely to the decline in yield output of farmers.
Missing gap in production, missing gap in agricultural activities that affect the life of this country, that affect food security.
This has become tale of the past, following steps put in place by the Buhari administration that put an end to corruption in input value chain. The agreement signed between Nigeria and Morocco on the supply of phosphate, a major ingredient in making fertilizer, was the first step taken to eradicate corruption in the sector. 22 blending plants with combined installation capacity of more than 2.5 million metric tons were resuscitated.
Because of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, has helped to stimulate investment in blending plants, blending factories. So we have more blending plants today. And these blending plants today together have a combined capacity of about 4 million tons.
To further make it easy for farmers, the price of 50 kilograms of fertilizer was brought down to 5,500 naira.
Our farmers have made great strides in local production of rice, maize, cassava, poultry, fertilizer, fisheries, and system.
Rice production shot up from 3.7 million metric tons to more than 18 million metric tons. Nigeria is also leading other African countries in maize, sorghum, groundnut, millet, yam, cassava, among other produce. The government has also pushed for the revival of the moribund textile industries with the injection of 100 billion naira.
The sector has the capacity to transform Nigeria's rural economy and revive the textile and garment industries by creating over 2 million jobs, improve internal revenue across 3 tiers of government, reduce over $4 billion import bill incurred annually on textiles and apparel, safeguard and earn foreign exchange, and ultimately accelerate industrial development.
In order to consolidate the success achieved in agriculture, the government is recruiting more extension workers, while strategy to establish agro-processing zones is underway.
We are going to organize all our research institutions to make meaningful research, to develop products and allow them to sell, to patent their production.
The government is also rolling out a program that will boost the country's dairy and milk production and cut down importation. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, lack of disruptive quake at the federal level, particularly after 2019 election, is one notable feature that enhanced the education sector performance in the last 5 years. The performance of this should not be lost on us, as a change in leadership would have led to a halt in the trajectory of Adamu. Education correspondent Rashidat Mustafa Olagunjo brings us up to speed with happenings in the sector.
As a result of this continuity, the Ministerial Strategic Plan 2016 to 2019 gave way to the education sector's short and medium-term blueprint work plan. To ensure that where a goal stopped in 2019, it continued in 2018 to 2022 plan with an expanded scope, thereby steering Nigeria's education sector in the last 5 years towards a consistent improvement in access, quality, equity, carrying capacity, infrastructural and personal development, and most importantly, addressing the Almajiri syndrome, which by extension will drastically reduce numbers of out-of-school children.
Frequent changes of policies, some of them made without adequate preparations, have created a kind of charade in the educational system. So, to be fair, this administration had to deal with what it was dealt with, the situation it had made.
Other strides in the sector include approval of specialized universities, including the Federal Maritime University in Delta State and the Nigerian Army University in Borno State. 6 new colleges of education, 1 in each geopolitical zone. Transfer of Almajiri schools to state government and credible scholars of Islamic education for effective administration.
Several initiatives have been introduced. One of the most important, you will agree, is the return of history in our curriculum. This is perhaps one of the greatest disservice to our educational system.
From 2015 to date, federal government has disbursed over 170 billion naira as matching grants to universal basic education as grants to state and the FCT. Government also mandated that Paris Club share of states that refuse to make available their counterpart fund should be channeled for that use. State and private providers also received 8 billion naira as special education grants. Another 34 billion naira was made available for Teachers Development Fund to states and the FCT.
The student-teacher relationship has also improved over the years, especially with the basic education segment of the education sector.
Various agencies in the sector also come up with various innovations to enhance the sector, particularly the examination bodies that have a lot of measures in place to curb malpractice and fraud. Not forgetting the reduction of registration for unified tertiary matriculation examination fee from 5,000 naira to 3,500 naira. Noting all this, observers are of the view that a lot of mileage will be covered to push the sector a notch or two higher before the expiration of the present administration. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
This is the news on NTA International. We're reaching you live from Abuja. More reports in a moment. Don't go away.
Action. Make your home the place to be with GoTV's super cool kids channels.
That sounds fun.
From funky friends that'll keep even the little ones busy.
All right, everybody, let's do this!
To learn as you watch educational shows for curious young minds.
You can do some amazing things.
There's plenty for everyone. Tune in to our kids shows and get everything you need to keep the kids entertained and learning the fun way. GoTV, live it, love it.
Welcome back. Our President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the reconstitution of the board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, after the expiration of the term of the board members appointed in 2016. A release by Special Advisor to the President's Media and Publicity saying members of the new board are Mohammed Lawal Northwest, Tajuddin Umar Northeast, Adamu Mahmood Atta North Central, Senator Magnus Abe South-South, Dr. Stephen Dike Southeast, and Chief Pius Akinler Southwest. The new board will be in place for 3 years. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has announced the demise of its immediate past group managing director, Dr. Mekenti Kachala Baro, over to Lydia Sampson for the life and times of the late group managing director of the NNPC.
Dr. Mekenti Baro was the 18th Group Managing Director of the NNPC, a consummate mechanical engineer who steered the affairs of the corporation from July 4, 2016 to July 7, 2019. A statement by the NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs, Dr. Kenny Obatero, announced the passing on of Dr. Mekenti Baro after a brief illness in a hospital in Abuja. The release says NNPC Group Managing Director Mele Kyari expressed shock over the sudden death of Dr. Mekenti Baro, describing him as a man of exemplary character and disposition. Dr. Baro was 60 years old. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with family, friends and professional colleagues of former Group Managing Director, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Dr. Mekenti Kachala Baro. In a statement by Femi, Additional Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, the President also acknowledges Dr. Baro's contribution to ensuring stability in the oil sector in Nigeria with a more guaranteed supply and predictable price regime that weakened unscrupulous oil marketers, especially during festive seasons. The President prays that the Almighty God will receive the soul of the departed, grant eternal rest and comfort all who mourn him. President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with family, friends and colleagues of renowned writer, journalist, columnist, actor, dancer and dramatist Akogun Tola Adeniyi as he turns 76. In a release by Femi, Additional Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, the President congratulates the entire Pen fraternity on the landmark birthday of the man who made writing look so fluid and easy through his column, Abba Said, which was a compelling read as he plied his trade for decades in sketch newspapers, Nigerian Tribune, Daily Times of Nigeria and many others, where he held top editorial positions as editor-in-chief and CEO. President Buhari equally salutes the business survey of Adeniyi, which led him to found the Canada Africa Chamber of Commerce in 1966, and wishes him good health, longer life, and greater contributions to Nigeria. And now, India records a daily jump of 7,964 new COVID-19 infections as the United Kingdom death toll from people who have tested positive for COVID-19 rose by 38,376. Let's join Uche Ugochukwu for global updates on COVID-19.
The tally by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control as at 29th May 2020 shows there are 387 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. Lagos, FCT, Jigawa and Edo are top on the list, while Plateau, Yobe, Gombe, Bauchi and Ondo are at the bottom. There are now 9,304 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. Discharged is 2,697 and 261 deaths so far. India has extended its coronavirus lockdown until June 30 in high-risk zones, but permitted restaurants, malls and religious buildings to reopen elsewhere from June 8, despite a record-high number of cases detected nationwide on Saturday. India reported a record daily jump of 7,964 new COVID-19 infections on Saturday and has so far recorded 173,763 positive cases and 4,971 deaths. The United Kingdom death toll from people who have tested positive for COVID-19 rose by 215 to 38,376, and Spain has recorded more than 238,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 with more than 27,000 deaths. Globally, the figure released by Johns Hopkins University as of 6 p.m. local time shows that 6,086,407 cases have been confirmed globally. 368,468 have died, while 2,697,211 recovered. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Nigerian and other 15 past African leaders have continued to identify with the president of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Akinwumi Adesina. This is coming as 15 former African leaders and past president of the bank passed a vote of confidence on Dr. Akinwumi Adesina following allegation of misconduct. Musa Babaliu has details.
Nigeria over the years has been a major shareholder in the African Development Bank since its establishment in September 10, 1964. The country is controlling 9.1% of the total share of the bank, followed by US, Egypt, Japan, South Africa, among other shareholders. The bank has successfully elected 9 presidents, and Akinwumi Adesina is the first Nigerian to hold that position. He enjoyed the support of President Muhammadu Buhari and other African leaders who unanimously endorsed him for the position in May 2015.
And so we've got to make sure that we make agriculture value chains that allows Africa to add value to everything it produces. And that's why within the African Development Bank, we've taken this very seriously, that we're going to invest $24 billion of our own money into agriculture over the next 10 years so that Africa can be totally food self-sufficient. And secondly, Africa can participate in global value chains.
As his first tenure ended and he was endorsed by African leaders for a second time in office, there comes an allegation against the Akinwumi Adesina. On the 15th May this year, the governing board of the bank exonerated the AFDB's president from all allegations leveled against him and declared him free to contest his second term in office. Not satisfied with that, the United Nations is now calling for independent probe with an agenda of pushing the first AFDB Nigerian born president out of office. Other stakeholders of the bank, including past African leaders, are emphasizing that based on the principles governing the bank, no nation has the power to remove the president or any director of the bank. President Muhammadu Buhari, in a letter through the Minister of Finance, calls for the respect of the laws and guidelines of the bank. The president recalls the success story and achievement of Akiwumi Adesina, which includes securing a general capital increase of the bank of $115 billion. The re-election of Akiwumi Adesina as the AFDB president, earlier scheduled for May 28th this month, was shifted to August 27th and 28th due to COVID-19. Adesina is the sole candidate contesting for the position. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And in other stories, Olaleye Market in Shomolu, Lagos has been completely razed to the ground. Olumide Oguntola tells us all about it.
For some time now, Lagos has been a bit quiet in the area of disaster until this morning when emergency responders were alerted that Olaleye Market in Shomolu area of Lagos State was on fire. As I talk to you now, everything inside the market has been completely destroyed. The pains in the heart of property owners who are just like other Nigerians, struggling to sustain their livelihood as coronavirus affects the global economy can best be imagined. Eyewitness account says the prompt response of the fire service authorities prevented the spread of the inferno to other areas.
But you just heard by what did happen? Is it bomb or not? You just come across. You have to come and see the light is too much. Nobody can face it. We run.
The only thing we just know is that we just see fire around after to 2.
There's no light. There's no light that can cause anything. Nobody in the market can see in the market. Then when the market is going, when the fire is going on, we try to locate the security to come and open the market for us so that people will rescue some their goods. But the security said that the key is not with him.
It was probably because the whole line was in darkness while the shop was locked. But maybe after the electrical, the PCN brought lights, maybe there was a spark from one of the shop, which was identified to be a computer shop down the last line.
What we are appealing to the government is to come to our aid. This is our source of income.
In Lagos, Olumide Oguntola, NTA News.
Quite an unfortunate development there. That concludes the news at 7. Thanks for watching. I'm Comfort Amadou.